What's up everyone, it's James here from Smoking UK, where we review, we communicate and educate all things tobacco and everything that comes around it, especially for this video. Now today we're touching on quite an important topic when it comes to cigars, but more importantly cigar collecting and cigar storage and maintenance, and that is how to properly season your humidor before you start collecting your cigars. Now, a lot of people don't think this is actually that important, but you'll be very surprised on how important this step and this process actually is. It's like getting a pet fish and not treating the water before you put it in. And if you don't treat your humidor, you're essentially just setting yourself up for disaster, especially when it comes to cigar collecting. I'm going to show you two different versions or two different ways in which you can do this. We've got the traditional way, which I'll show you with distilled water, and we've got the new way, which a lot of people are doing. It takes all the guesswork out of it, but it does take a little bit longer. So let's run the intro and let's get into how to properly season your humidor. It's actually surprising, and the reason we're doing this video is a lot of people don't actually think it's important, or a lot of people didn't realize you had to do this to store your cigars. We have so many people coming into the store, we have so many people in like our DMs and our comments asking if it's actually an important step. And when it comes to me, I've been smoking cigars for a few years, I've been collecting cigars for a few years, and I'd say it's probably one of the most important steps in which you can do when it comes to cigar collecting, other than buying cigars. So first of all, we've got a standard tabletop humidor. This is my personal humidor. This is between a 50 and 100 sticks. Obviously it depends on what size sticks you get. If you only smoke panetters, you probably get a couple of thousand in it. Most cigar humidors, especially if you don't have a nice big electric one like I do, are normally lined with Spanish cedar. Now, the whole purpose of having a humidor is to make sure your cigars stay at the right humidity level, the right temperature, the entire time you collect it. And a way to maintain that is to make sure the wood on the inside is absorbing and holding on to as much as humidity as possible. Now, the old traditional way is getting distilled water like this. So just a standard bottle of distilled water. You don't want to be using water that's out the tap. Distilled water doesn't have all the additives and the extras that comes in our tap water, especially in the UK. This is pure water. You get your distilled water on a cloth and you wipe down the insides of your humidor. Make sure you get every inch of that wood coated. Now this is where you pay attention, because you don't want to be leaving puddles. You want to be moistening the inside of the humidor. You don't want to be soaking the inside of the humidor. You shouldn't have any puddles or anything like that. You want to just damp your cloth and wipe down the inside, the bottom, the inside of the lid, the seal bits here. Make sure every little bit has been touched. You then want to get yourself a container, a shot glass, a normal glass, anything that will fit inside the humidor, and you want to fill a little bit of distilled water into here, and you want to leave it in the humidor and closed, and leave that for 24 to 48 hours. Now the next important bit that you want to get, and which I say it's important, it's not necessary, but it's going to make your life 10 times easier, and that is buying a digital hygrometer. Now hygrometer tells you the humidity inside the humidor, and 9 times out of 10 it will also tell you the temperature as well, which is just a bonus. Now what you want to do is you want to put that inside the humidor as well, and then leave it. Don't open it, don't move it around, just leave it 24, 48 hours until you see that hygrometer show round about 74-75% humidity. Remember, this isn't what you're going to be storing your cigars at, this is just making sure you got the humidity as high up in there as possible. After 24 to 48 hours, remove your container of distilled water and leave it for a further 24 hours. If I was going to treat this particular humidor, I'd check on it as well, because this is the prime time to find out if your humidor is actually properly sealed and if it actually holds in the humidity and there's no leakage there as well. If you start seeing it plummet down to like lower 60s, 50s and lower, there's a leak somewhere, your humidor isn't sealed as much as it possibly could be, and it's not going to store your cigars that well. Where you want to be keeping your cigars is realistically, it's down to personal preference. I like my cigars a little drier, so I keep mine around about 64 to 65% humidity. Some people store them up to 70 to 71. A lot of people say 70 is the prime place to keep your humidors when it comes to humidity. But again, it's down to personal preference. As long as your hygrometer is showing you anything between 65 and 70, 71%, you're good to go. Your humidor is officially seasoned and you can start storing your cigars. Now that is the traditional way of seasoning your humidor. Now with modern technology and some of the brands that are out there, we've actually made this 10 times easier to be able to season a humidor. When I personally get a humidor, this is how I would season it, and that is with Boveda. Now, if you've watched any of our cigar guides, you probably would have seen me talk about Boveda, especially when it comes to our Cigars for Beginners video, and I talk about humidors a bit and seasoning your humidors. I briefly touch on the importance of Boveda and how easy it is to use them. Obviously, they all come in different sizes depending on the size of your humidor. I've obviously got this big one, and I have a few of these scattered around my big fridge humidor because it holds up to 250 cigars, so I need as much humidity circling around there as I can. But if you're just going to use a standard 50 count humidor, a standard pouch like this will do just fine. So again, we're going to go in with the tabletop humidor, and I'll show you how you could properly season this with a Boveda pack, and it is literally this simple. These pouches come in different percentage of humidities. You get 72s, you get 69s, you get 65s, 84s and 82s, so on, whatever your personal preference is. Obviously, you don't want to be storing your cigars at 80. That's going to open up a whole can of worms, which we'll cover in a future video. But for example, we have this humidor, we have our 82% pack, place it inside, close it, leave it. Leave it, it's as simple as that. Now, the recommendation of how long you keep this in here varies. Some people say up to 2 weeks, some people say a week, some people say a couple of days. Personally, for me, I go for 10 days. Put that in, 10 days, leave the humidor, don't leave it, don't let the humidity escape. After 10 days, we take this one out. I get my 69%, which is the average of what I want to keep it as. Put it in, close, let the humidity come down to there, and you're ready to go. Seasoning your humidor shouldn't be an uphill battle, and it doesn't need to be an uphill battle. It's a very simple process in which you can follow, but it's incredibly important, especially if you plan on aging your cigars and collecting them. Now, some people might argue that there's different ways to do it, that it's not important, but it is important. For us, personally, it's important, and especially as you, our customers, if you're purchasing from us, we want to make sure you're storing your cigars the best way possible. So that's it, guys. It's that easy, it's that simple. It doesn't need to be difficult, it doesn't need to be hard. Thank you for coming with us on this video. Thank you for coming with us on our journey, and I hope you've learned something with seasoning your humidors. Let us know what you do to season your humidors in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you enable your notifications so you'll be the first one to know whenever we drop some new content. We are dropping some great content on this channel. We do cigar reviews, we're doing pipes, we're doing snuff, we're doing humidors, we're doing travel vlogs. We've got some amazing content. And make sure you go and subscribe to our social medias as well. We post daily on there with some of the best photography you will see in the industry. I can guarantee it, you won't regret it. And we'll see you in future videos.